welcome to my podcast. I wanted to do another episode about both the Superman 2025 movie and the Fantastic Four First Steps, because I'm not done talking about these movies. Especially Fantastic Four First Steps has captured my imagination. It's my jam. I've seen it twice, and in both viewings, it is exactly the movie that I want it to be. Like, I do more understand the complaints that people have about it, and I understand why it's not the Universal movie versus Superman 2025 being the universally beloved movie this year. As far as the differences between the two, I equate it to Star Trek versus Star Wars. Superman 2025 is Star Wars. It's big and bombastic, and it makes people feel good directly because a lot of what it builds is on the surface. A lot of its themes are surfaced because James Gunn likes to do that. James Gunn has a lot of themes in this movie, but they're all on the surface, so they're easy to see, and his explicit goal is to make you hopeful and make you feel good about Superman again. People call it comic book accurate, and that's why they love it, and it's not. It takes an aspect that people have been missing on screen and surfaces that as the preeminent aspect of Superman, but it's only one part, and it doesn't make for a fully comics-accurate Superman to me, which is fine, but yeah, you can call it comics accurate all you want, but it's not. And once again, that's fine. This immature, kind of naive version of Superman is not the Superman of the comic books. As I said in the last episode, Dad Superman is. But people enjoy it. That's the most important part because, as I said in the last episode, a rising tide hypothetically should lift all ships, but maybe not, because Fantastic Four First Steps, which is a movie that makes me feel like Superman has been making other people feel, is kind of having a tepid box office performance, relatively speaking. In the summer of 2025, there are three movies that are going to do well. One is the new Jurassic Park, which is going to do better than any of the other movies. There are probably some kids' movies that maybe do better, but for like regular adult movies, Jurassic Park Rebirth, I think it's called. No, Jurassic World Rebirth. And then Superman 2025, which is still doing very well. People are doing several repeat viewings, like I did for Fantastic Four, and then Fantastic Four. But the difference between each of those movies is probably going to be $100 million apiece. Like, Rebirth's probably going to end over $700 million. Superman is probably going to end over $600 million, maybe $700 million. Probably not, maybe $650. And then Fantastic Four will be lucky to get to $500 million. I think I can get there, maybe. Which will still make it the most successful Marvel movie since Deadpool and Wolverine, which was a fluke in itself as far as how well it did in the box office. Regardless of the economics of it, they're both very good movies that are very successful at doing what they try to achieve, and so this summer is a celebration of those two movies specifically. And so as part of that celebration, I went back and reread the giant-sized crossover issue, Superman Fantastic Four. This was during the period of time that DC Comics and Marvel were working together to try to, once again, lift all ships with that rising tide economically. And they did a giant-sized issue, a Superman Fantastic Four crossover, both penciled and written by Dan Jurgens, who was a long-time Superman artist. I don't remember if Dan Jurgens was a Superman writer, but he was a long-time Superman artist, and he probably wrote too, because he wrote some other things after that. But his Superman run was during the prime era of Superman for me, which is the 90s. Dan Jurgens was one of the main 1990s, early 90s Superman artists, and so he was the creator for Superman Fantastic Four. The opening of the story is how Galactus was actually who destroyed Krypton, and so you follow the story from this flashback, this prelogue of Galactus destroying Krypton, so you think, to the modern day, with an adult Superman receiving a message that Galactus destroyed Krypton. He knows of Galactus because of I forget what the name of the crossover event was for that period of time, but there was a crossover event where a character was created that's owned by both companies named Access. And Access he's basically the portal being that allows one universe to access the other. Because he's owned by both companies, after they finished their crossover period, he was just gone forever. Never to exist again, And he doesn't appear in this book, although he's called out by name. He's who helped Superman get to the Marvel Universe to talk to the Fantastic Four about Galactus. He talks to them about Galactus. They go find Galactus, Galactus turns Kal-El into a herald, so it's Superman with the powers of the Silver Surfer, so omnipotence upon omnipotence. Hank Henshaw's involved because he wants Galactus to make him perfect. If you don't know who Hank Henshaw is, Hank Henshaw was a John Byrne creation coming off of his run on Fantastic Four. He wanted to, kind of like a stunt cameo, he created a DC version of the Fantastic Four for his early days on Superman. And Hank Henshaw was the Reed Richards character. And then Hank Henshaw's family that all went up into space with him, they died. And it made him insane. And he became one of the great 1990s enemies of Superman, existing after this, but culminating in him becoming the cyborg Superman after Superman died in the early 90s. Which is not relevant to this issue, but yes. So Hank Henshaw is part of the story trying to get to Galactus. He helps the Fantastic Four get to where this kidnapped, brainwashed, or heraldified Superman is, because as he's the new Herald of Galactus, he's helped Galactus find a planet. They try to stop him. You can see that Superman's fighting the brainwashing. The Fantastic Four use their power and Reed's intellect to assist the Superman, who is also resisting this state. Escape the state. Hank Henshaw says, "Hey Galactus, what about me? Make me perfect." And so Galactus turns him into a perfect sheet of alloy metal. And he's like, "Yeah, you're perfect. No mind, no brain, just a perfectly smooth sheet of metal." I forgot to say that Galactus actually never attacked Krypton. That was an altered message, altered by Hank Henshaw, because while Galactus was at the fall, the death of Krypton, it was already too far gone to be used as a source of energy. So it was Hank Henshaw that altered the message that made Superman go after Galactus. The attack never happened. It was a false flag. And everybody goes home. Superman gives Franklin his cape as a little gift, and the last shot is the Fantastic Four waving goodbye as Superman flies away and Franklin holds his cape. And it's a cute little story. It's not like super well written because these crossovers never are. It's like a single issue story, except it's a little bit longer because it's a giant size. I think it's 48 pages versus 32. Dan Jurgens is always a solid artist, so the art is good. Art Thurberg, I believe, is the inker, and it's a good-looking book. It's something that I purchased almost immediately when it hit the presses, so I still have my copy. If I had a way to bag and backing board it, I definitely would, but I don't, so the corners are a little funky. But it is a prized possession, and there's no better time to celebrate the fact that it exists than now. So I'm celebrating that it exists because 2025 is the year of celebration of both of those properties. In my episode about the Fantastic Four, I did not cover what they actually were. So in 1961, and this was going to be the end of his time in comic books, I think, Stan Lee came up with an idea for a superhero team that, in their first issue, they were just classic challengers of the unknown kind of characters. They went into space. Reed Richards took his family in space, his girlfriend's brother, his best friend, who was a pilot, and did not shield properly for the cosmic rays. They crash land. The cosmic rays give them extraordinary, very weird powers, and they decide to become a team, the Fantastic Four. Very early on, as they develop, maybe the second, maybe the fourth issue, they become public figures. So they are famous in the world, or as a commentary on 1960s fame. So Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, can become invisible, turn other things invisible, has force field creation powers, which they added later on because people complained about her being a useless character, so they had to do something to make her useful. She's grown more than any of the other characters over time, by the way. She was just the girl at some point. And after having kids and marriage and going through every cultural revolution for women, Sue is one of the strongest personalities in comics because she's defined as being a mother of the team, and motherhood means something different in the modern time. As you saw in the movie, if you saw the movie, she is actually the lead character in the movie. She is the face of the Fantastic Four in the movie. She's the public face of the Fantastic Four. She kind of speaks for the team. So even though Reed is the back-end leader, Sue is the field leader, as I said in the review. Then you have Reed, who is the most important member of the team because he is the one that instigates all of the adventures. Basically, the Fantastic Four, they're not superheroes. They're They're science adventurers, and their adventures in science are instigated by Reed saying, hey, let's do this experiment. And the experiment takes them to insane and crazy places, and since he's the smartest man in the world and they trust his competence, they follow him to all of these insane and crazy places and adventures. So they are superheroes, but that's not their main thing. Their main thing is adventures in science. So you have Reed. Because Reed is the smartest man in the world, not like Tony Stark, but like Reed, he is distracted constantly. The only thing that keeps him from going off the deep end into science, with science and exploration being more important than people, because he has that potential, is his family. We see other versions of Reed over the course of time from other universes, and they all have gone off the deep end because they've lost their family. So Reed is not like a big personality like a Tony Stark, where his humanity leads, and even if it's a selfish and venal humanity, Reed is led by logic. He's like a Vulcan, except for the fact that this family that he has around him loves him, and he feels a responsibility for them, and therefore humanity as well. Of course, you have Johnny. When Johnny came onto the team, he was a young teen, about the same age as Peter Parker, but unlike Peter Parker, Johnny was handsome and athletic, and as a member of the Fantastic Four, he was famous and rich and charming, and so Johnny has consistently been a piece of shit over the course of time. You know how big a piece of shit Johnny is? In the 80s, Johnny married Ben's girlfriend, Alicia Masters. So his friend Ben, who's a monster, who was lucky enough to find somebody who loved him as a monster, lost his only love in life to his best friend Johnny because Ben wasn't around. So Johnny fucked his girlfriend, which ended up being such an unpopular move that they retconned it so that Johnny's Alicia was actually a Skrull the whole time, a Skrull named Elijah, who he married and had eggs with or something. But yes, they had to retcon that out of continuity. And that has gotten Johnny in trouble over the course of time more than once. He's also a huge practical joker. In the movie, the new movie, they downplayed that a lot. They did not play up those aspects of Johnny, and that's good, because I don't like Johnny Storm. I don't like him as presented in any media that he's been in. He's obnoxious. I hate obnoxious characters, and because he's so obnoxious, he's kind of the weak link. He's the Human Torch, he's the Flaming One. He can fly really fast, he can shoot fireballs, he can shoot basically rays of fire, melt through things, control fire, absorb fire. You see that quick scene in the movie. He's very powerful. Not as powerful as his sister, practically, but very powerful. Oh, when I talked about Reed, I didn't talk about his powers. Reed can stretch his body, and he can control that to do various things because he's so intelligent. He understands that that is more than just stretching. One of the modern tropes is that Reed uses his powers to stretch various areas of his brain to think more effectively, and that is what helps him be the most intelligent human being in the world, and maybe the smartest person in the universe. Finally, we have Ben. Ben is everybody's favorite. Not really, but everybody loves Ben because Ben is a big, lovable grump. Ben's thing is that he is kind of angry and depressed because everybody else got cool powers, and he got to be a monster. People say, oh, he's a big rock monster. He's not made of rocks. His skin just looks like it's made of rocks. Originally, it was just lumpy. It was thick and lumpy like orange leather. They thought that the rocky look was a better look, so they said that the evolution of his powers over time is that Ben became the brick-looking thing that we know today. His power is strength. It's strength and endurance and durability, but that's not really Ben's power. Ben's power is sheer will. Ben will fight until he is dead in a way that almost no other character in comics will. Ben will never give up. His love for his family is one of his guiding principles. He's a big teddy bear, and he feels like he wants to be the protector because he's a big dude who has people around him that he loves. But yes, his will to protect his people, his family, and humanity, and his pride are almost indomitable. So if you are twice as strong as the Thing, there's not a guarantee that you will beat the Thing in a fight. And that's the Fantastic Four. But that's the original Marvel comic book, 1961, the Fantastic Four. The thing that birthed the Marvel Universe that we know today. So it's amazing that they're not more popular than they are right now. But yeah, that's the big one. So like Superman was the first superhero in 1938, Fantastic Four, the first characters of Marvel. Marvel Comics were more influenced by soap opera comics, which means characters with personalities, with individual problems. They don't ever explicitly say it like that, but yeah, these guys all wrote soap opera comics in the 50s because superhero comics had fallen out of popularity, and so they were coming from soap opera comics, so they brought writing tropes that they developed, writing for soap opera comics, into Marvel Comics, which made people feel like they were getting a more complex story. You had more complex multi-part stories over several issues or a writer's entire run. It makes for a more interesting read. And then over time, to complement that, you get more interesting art, and it evolves and evolves until you get the comic books of today. I just wanted to go over that so I could say more stuff about these movies that I enjoyed. In the case of Superman, something I enjoyed. In the case of Fantastic Four, something that I loved. In fact, I'm going to do an MCU ranking, top 5, because when I first watched Fantastic Four, I was like, you know what? It's definitely in my top 10. I'm not sure where, but as of right now, it's in my top 5. So my top 5 MCU movies are, number 1, and this one never changes, is Captain America Winter Soldier. It's a perfect movie. I don't know that anything will ever dethrone that. Marvel's tried to remake the magic with that over and over again, and they just can't do it. It's a perfect movie. Number 2, Infinity War. It is the perfect comic book movie. So I think that Winter Soldier is a better movie. As far as representing a big splash page like a maxi series, like a climactic or a penultimate issue, Infinity War captures that better than any movie ever has and probably ever will. If you love comic books, Infinity War is perfect representation of what you've seen on the page. Number 3, Marvel's The Avengers. Probably the most rewatchable movie still in the entire experiment of the 37 movies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the original Avengers movie. It flows. It hurts me that Joss Whedon torpedoed his own career. I hate when talented, shitty people mess up their stuff, because then they lose and we lose too, and that's the case with Joss Whedon. Number 4 is Captain America Civil War. That movie still makes me feel things. People believing things strongly. The real enemy is not Zemo, it's just philosophy. Friends with competing philosophies. And it's a very personal movie to the characters involved, and some of the better performances in the MCU, and probably a lot of people's favorite presentation of T'Challa, the Black Panther. The actual Black Panther movie was too rich and complex for them, and they just wanted to see him be a badass, which he is in Civil War. So I like it too, but that's not why it's one of my favorites. That's not why it's number 4, but it is number 4. It's a very good movie. And then number 5, The Fantastic Four: First Steps. Man, one of the most beautiful movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe easily. Changing up the aesthetic did wonders for this project, and the fact that it's more like 1960s sci-fi than it is like a modern superhero movie is a big plus for me. It might be off-putting to some people, but it's got strong like Johnny Quest, Star Trek, the original series vibes, and I love that. Like if they were like big budget affairs in the vein of modern movies, you'd get the Fantastic Four: First Steps. The interpersonal dynamics, the amount of time they spend on the interpersonal dynamics is very different than other modern Marvel movies, because they all do that, but they do it quickly because they want to get you back to the action. The Fantastic Four: First Steps is more about making you love these characters than it is about the action scenes. Like, even though the action scenes are great, some of the best ever in these movies. And so it's off-putting to a lot of people because of that. They're like, these are not how we want to see these characters, because the interpersonal scenes are not big and explosive. They're small and intimate and understated. And because it's a comic book movie, people don't like that. But I like that. I think it's well done. It makes it feel like a real movie. So yeah, that's my current top 5. All of them are great, and they all hold a special place in my heart. I'm very enamored with this movie right now. And I would do that for Superman as well, but I don't love it as much. It has the public's imagination. They feel like it is a hopeful movie, and it makes them feel good about the world. It's a good movie. It has really well-presented themes. The Superman that exists in there is a little bit immature, a little naive for the Superman that I'm looking for. Doesn't make it a bad movie. It's a great movie, as shown by the box office and the reception. If you look on Letterboxd, there are twice as many reviews on Superman 2025 as there are on Fantastic Four, so that kind of shows you what the reception is. People love it, and I don't fault them for that. It's a great summer for us, the fans. And that's it. Just an extra episode, because Fantastic Four is still knocking around in my mind. Wonderful time with it. I may even go see it again in the theater, so you can always hit me up on Blue Sky or Threads at Johnathanblade. Catch my podcast, which is the Elder Blerd, Johnathanblade, the Elder Blerd. I publish on my YouTube channel, which is Johnathanblade1. That's John, Johnathanblade, and the number 1. And the YouTube channel is probably the best place to catch these because everybody has access to YouTube, but I'm not even advertising my podcast anymore. I still publish to the podcast, but I usually promote the podcast from the YouTube channel because more people have access to YouTube. So catch me there or wherever. And as always, thanks for listening.